Today's 5-Minute Gardener, surviving the occasional freezing night. The only way to make sure your plants survive those cold nights is to plant frost-resistant plants. Our 5-Minute Gardener, Debbie Mounds from Harlow Gardens, has some suggestions.
Okay, good afternoon. It's January. It's kind of chilly out there, although it hasn't been that cold. But we have had some nights when we've had to consider running out in the cold and covering the plants that may get damaged from those frost nights, from either frost or freezing temperatures. And that's really not a lot of fun. So today I have some plants for you that you can plant in your garden that will survive the cold. Some of these plants will actually go all the way down to 10 degrees before they get any kind of damage. So boy, it makes life a whole lot easier if you're not out there throwing blankets over and sheets and stuff over everything. So let me talk to you about some of these guys here. All right, on the end over here, we have this one. This is one of the cassias. This is the cool thing about this is it's very cold hardy, but it also blooms in the winter time. This guy's covered in bud. Pretty soon it's going to be covered in yellow flowers. So the cassia is a great choice. This one is Texas Ranger. I think that probably most of you know about Texas Ranger. There's a number of different leucophyllums, which is what the family of Texas Ranger is. And this guy is cold hardy down to about 12 to 15 degrees. And in the summertime, it gets beautiful purple flowers when we get that ambient humidity kicking in this during the monsoon season. There's one back here called Nandina or Heavenly Bamboo. This is a great plant. This guy takes sun, some of them take shade, and they start to color up in the winter. You can see the red color on this foliage, and then they go all the way down to 10 or 15 degrees for cold hardiness. It's a great survivor. Here we have Texas Mountain Laurel. This is another one that gives you beautiful flowers. This gives you those grape cluster of flowers in the spring. They smell kind of like grape bubble gum if you're a grape bubble gum fan. Back here I have Little Ollie. It's a type of an olive bush that doesn't produce fruit. Then we have rosemary. There's lots of different types of rosemary. All of them are tough to the cold. And then this one is called Loropetalum. Beautiful foliage color with pink flowers in the spring. A gorgeous bush in your garden. All right.
All right, Debbie. And you said those are all kind of meat and potatoes plants?
Yeah, those are kind of like your basic menu, but they all really are tough. That's why they're meat and potatoes. They're tough plants. They'll survive a whole lot of stuff. You know, and I brought a couple other ones with me. This one is the one, this is like your basic median, Tucson median plant.
I love it. It's so pretty. The flowers, those shoots are gorgeous.
Yeah, this is called Hesperalo or red yucca, and you'll see it in every median in town. Cars drive over them. I mean, they're just amazing. This other one is called Pittosporum. This is another meat and potatoes, old-fashioned plant. These are the kind of plants that were planted in the 50s, in the 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, all through the middle part of town. Everybody has Pittosporum in those older houses. And both of these are very cold tolerant. Don't ever have to do any covering on them. Now, one thing I wanted to tell you about, though, and tell everybody about, is there are some plants that are a little cold tender, but once they're established, they will become what they call root hardy. So what that means, let's say for instance on bougainvillea, you know, the first 2 years we suggest that you cover and protect the bougainvillea, including the roots, mostly the root system, and then after that, if you don't cover it, it'll most likely freeze to the ground, but the root system is big enough that it'll just bounce right back and come back. It won't get killed. So there's a number of plants that are like that. If you give it a couple years worth of work, they'll reward you once they've gotten bigger and more established.
And if you have planted a lot of those, you know, the bedding plants like the pansies and the petunias, they just stop blooming, right, when it gets cold, and then when they sense that it's getting warmer, they start blooming.
Right. Well, pansies and violas are the two that really bloom no matter how cold it gets. But your petunias and your snapdragons and your stock, all of those will survive the cold, but they just kind of hunker down and say, well, we just really don't want to flower when it's this cold. But they flower beautifully in the fall, and then as the weather starts to break a little in the spring, they come back and just go gangbusters on you.
And then right around April or May, they die.
Right. When the heat hits, they pack their little bags and they leave. They go home.
They go to San Diego.
They go to San Diego, exactly.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.